Today's topic is crystals and crystallization. Now, what are crystals? Whenever a hot saturated solution. In the last lecture, we have discussed about what saturated solutions are. Saturated solutions were formed when the large amount of solute was dissolved in a lesser amount of solvent. So when such a solution in which no more solute can be dissolved at a given temperature, then such a saturated solution when is cooled, जब आप उसे cool down करेंगे, then what will happen? Excess solute is thrown out in the form of particles. इससे पहले मुझे एक छोटा सा concept समझ लो. कोई भी substance dissolve कब करता है? In a solvent, we know it being in a liquid state, there is intermolecular space. Now this intermolecular space, within this, when a solute is dissolved, then what happens? The molecules of the solute, they get adjusted in between these intermolecular spaces. Okay? When we heat such a solution, then what happens? This intermolecular space between the molecules of the solvent, that increases. Right? Why does it increase? Because the heat energy changes into kinetic energy. The heat energy changes into kinetic energy, resulting in the faster motion of the molecules, resulting in the larger intermolecular spaces. So what happens after that? Even more solute particles get adjusted in between these intermolecular spaces of the liquid. When does this happen? When it is heated. Okay? Now what we are doing? We are cooling this hot saturated solution. When this hot saturated solution is cooled, जब उसको हमने ठंडा किया, then what happens? The heat is lost, the heat is all gone, right? The intermolecular spaces will now be lesser, कम हो जाएंगी. When the intermolecular spaces will be less, what will happen to the excess solute particles which got adjusted between these intermolecular spaces, because at that time there was larger intermolecular space when it was hot. जब आपने इसको कूल कर दिया, ठीक, तो क्या हुआ? वापस से इंटरमोलिकुलर स्पेसेस सॉल्वेंट की कम हो गई और जो ये एक्सेस सोल्यूट इनके बीच में एडजस्ट हुआ था, इट वाज थ्रोन आउट, राइट? इट वाज थ्रोन आउट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पार्टिकल्स विद अ डेफिनेट ज्योमेट्रिकल शेप. ये जो एक्सेस ऑफ सोल्यूट इंटरमोलिकुलर स्पेसेस ऑफ सॉल्वेंट के बीच में एडजस्ट हो गया था when it was hot, then after it got cooled down, this excess solute particle was thrown out in the form of definite geometrical shapes, and these particles with a definite geometrical shapes, we call them as crystals. These crystals can be of many shapes. They can be rhomboid, cuboid, needle shaped, hexagonal, and so on. Right? So this is the crystal formation. Now what is the process of the formation of crystals known as? We call it as crystallization. Crystallization. So what is crystallization? Crystallization is the process of the formation of crystals. And what are crystals? Crystals are formed when a hot saturated solution is cooled and excess solute is thrown out in the particles with definite geometrical shape. और ये particles जो excess particles थे ये आए कहाँ से? ये आपको यहाँ से clear हो गया, ठीक है? So that is how the crystals are formed, and the process of formation of crystals is known as crystallization. Alright, now let us move a bit forward. Here we discussed about the excess of solute. Now let us talk of water of crystallization. Now what is water of crystallization? The water of crystallization. The water of crystallization is basically the amount of water. It is the amount of water that is present in a crystal. Initially हमने पढ़ा था that all the crystals have a geometrical shape. These crystals have a geometrical shape. Why? Because these crystals contain a fixed amount of water in them, and this amount of water which is responsible for the shape of the crystals, we call this amount of water as water of crystallization. So water of crystallization is the amount of water which is present inside the crystals. Now this water is very important. Why? Because if this water of crystallization is not there, the crystals will not have any geometrical shape. However, एक example देखिए, CuSO4, right? ये क्या है? This is one molecule of CuSO4 dot 5H2O. अब इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? This 5H2O, it is representing that in one molecule of copper sulfate, in one molecule of copper sulfate, 5 molecules of water are present. That means जिस समय कॉपर सल्फेट का हॉट सैचुरेटेड सॉल्यूशन को कूल डाउन किया, एट दैट टाइम व्हाट हैपेंड, अ फिक्स्ड नंबर ऑफ, फिक्स्ड मतलब ये नंबर कभी चेंज नहीं होगा, ऑलवेज. In order to form the crystals of copper sulfate, always with one molecule of copper sulfate, 5 molecules of water will be attached, so that the crystals of copper sulfate are formed. That means in the crystal of copper sulfate, each copper sulfate molecule is attached with 5 water of crystallization molecules. Another example, let us have the example of Na2CO3 dot 10H2O. ठीक है? Now what does that mean? इसका क्या मतलब? That means that with one molecule of sodium carbonate during the formation of crystals, जब सोडियम कार्बोनेट का क्रिस्टल फॉर्म हुआ, at that time with one molecule of sodium carbonate, 10 molecules of water got attached. As a result, the sodium carbonate was able to form its crystals. The last example, let's have magnesium sulfate MgSO4 dot 7H2O. What does that mean? It means that during the formation of the crystals of magnesium sulfate, one molecule of magnesium sulfate was attached with 7 molecules of water of crystallization. In सब केसेस में 1, 2, 3 सब में आपने देखा कि सॉल्ट का जिस का भी हमने क्रिस्टल फॉर्म किया है उस हर एक सॉल्ट में एक डेफिनेट नंबर ऑफ, देखो एक डेफिनेट नंबर है यहाँ पर 5 molecules of water, and here we are seeing 10 molecules of water. Here we are seeing 7 molecules of water. So we are seeing that with every salt molecule, a fixed number of water molecules are attached in order to form its crystals. So in a nutshell, we can say the water of crystallization is the fixed amount of water which is present in the crystal of the given salt. In one molecule, a fixed number of water molecules are present of a salt in order to form a crystal. So this is what is water of crystallization. After water of crystallization comes the term hydrated and anhydrous salts. अब देखो, क्योंकि वाटर प्रेजेंट है, ठीक है, जिस भी फॉर्मूले में आपको .5H2O या .10H2O या .7H2O कुछ भी ऐसा अगर वाटर मॉलिक्यूल अटैच हुआ दिखाई दे, then you are able to understand that this is water of crystallization. Now, while we have learned about water of crystallization, let us learn about one more new concept, which is hydrated. Hydrated means whenever the term hydrate comes, it has a link with water. ठीक है? So whenever with a salt molecule a fixed number of water molecules are attached, it represents two things. Number one, that this salt exists in the form of crystals, right? And since the water molecule is attached, we call this whole salt Na2CO3.10H2O as hydrated. यानी इस सोडियम कार्बोनेट में water present है. That is why we call this kind of a salt as a hydrated salt. Similarly, यहाँ देखिए CuSO4.5H2O, right? Here also we are able to see that this copper sulfate salt is linked with 5 water molecules. Again, it is indicating two things. What are these two things? Number one, क्योंकि water molecule attached है, therefore this salt CuSO4.5H2O is existing in the form of a crystal, and number two, it is a hydrated salt. Okay? अब क्या सारे salts hydrated होते हैं? No. Not all the salts are hydrated. Let us take an example of some salts which are not hydrated. Let us take the example of sodium chloride. Let us take the example of magnesium chloride. Let us take the example of copper carbonate. इतने सारे मैंने आपको एग्जाम्पल दिए, सोडियम क्लोराइड, मैग्नीशियम क्लोराइड, कॉपर कार्बोनेट. इन सब सॉल्ट्स में आप इनके मॉलिक्यूलर फॉर्मूले पर ध्यान दीजिए. I have not attached any water molecule to these salt NaCl, MgCl2, CuCO3 and so on. Since no water molecule is attached to them, therefore they all are called anhydrous in nature. So one is hydrated, the other one is anhydrated or anhydrous. So hydrated is the one in which one molecule of salt is attached with a fixed number of water molecules, and anhydrated substances are those in which no water of crystallization is present. Difference दोनों में सिर्फ एक ही है, इस water of crystallization का. सीधी बात है. Hydrated salts में आपका क्या क्या present होता है? इसमें we have got water of crystallization, number one, and due to the presence of water of crystallizations, these hydrated salts exist in the form of crystals, and the anhydrated salts are the ones in which no water of crystallization is present. So anhydrated and hydrated. Class, is it possible that hydrated salt is converted to anhydrous salt? क्या हम एक hydrated salt को anhydrous salt में convert कर सकते हैं? Is there a method? Yes, we can convert hydrated salt to the anhydrous salt. How can we do it? This we will be doing in the lab this year. Suppose we heat CuSO4.5H2O. On heating this CuSO4.5H2O, which is in the form of a crystal. When it is heated, what will happen? This water of crystallization will be removed and only anhydrous CuSO4 will be left behind. We will obtain CuSO4 plus 5H2O. Right? So here what we are seeing is that hydrated salt is getting converted into anhydrous salt. Hydrated salt to the anhydrous salt. Simple हमने क्या किया है? We have only heated it. As soon as it is heated, the water of crystallization is lost and the anhydrous substance is obtained. Now, by linking this hydrated and anhydrous substances, let us talk of two more new terms which we call as efflorescence and deliquescence substances. Efflorescence and deliquescence substances. For this, let us once again take the example of Na2CO3.10H2. This is hydrated sodium carbonate. जब भी ये वाटर ऑफ क्रिस्टलाइजेशन को हमें रीड करना है तो हम इसको दो तरीके से रीड कर सकते हैं. Either we read out the whole formula Na2CO3.10H2O, or how can we read it? हम इसको सिंपल पढ़ें hydrated sodium carbonate. तो अगर हम कह रहे हैं hydrated sodium carbonate, that means we are talking of Na2CO3.10H2O. ठीक है? You know what is hydrated sodium carbonate? This is your washing soda. This is washing soda. And this washing soda, obviously क्योंकि इसमें water of crystallization present है, what is this? This is water of crystallization. Therefore, it is in the form of crystals. It is in the form of crystals, right? Suppose it is exposed to the atmosphere. ठीक है, इसको हमने खुली हवा में एटमॉस्फेयर में as it is stored, then what will happen? And in that case, this sodium carbonate dot 10H2O or this hydrated sodium carbonate will lose its water of crystallization. क्या होगा? इसका जो water of crystallization है, that will be lost. And once the water of crystallization is lost, what will happen to this crystal shape? The crystal shape will get crumble. It will then be crumbled and will become amorphous. In nature. As what is the meaning of amorphous? Amorphous means when the crystalline shape is lost. That means crystalline shape is lost. जिस समय आपकी क्रिस्टलाइन शेप हट जाती है, बिल्कुल पाउडर्ड स्टेट. क्रिस्टल्स क्या होते हैं? दे हैव अ ज्योमेट्रिकल शेप. और जो एमॉर्फस होती है, व्हाट इज एमॉर्फस स्टेट? एमॉर्फस स्टेट के जो पार्टिकल्स होते हैं, दे डू नॉट हैव एनी शेप. बिकॉज दे डू नॉट हैव द water of crystallization. That is why the amorphous particles have no shape at all. ऐसे समझ लीजिए, जैसे टेल्कम पाउडर होता है. टेल्कम पाउडर को अगर आप अपने हाथ में लेके रब करेंगे, you will not be able to feel anything in your hand. Why? Because the talcum powder is in the form of amorphous state. So आपका जो क्रिस्टल शेप है वो amorphous में चेंज हो जाएगा. कब? जब आप किसी भी हाइड्रेटेड सब्सटेंस को एक्सपोज करेंगे टू द एटमॉस्फेयर, टू द एयर, टू द सनलाइट, and as a result the water of crystallization will be lost and the crystals will change into the amorphous state. This process of the loss of water of crystallization by a hydrated substance when by the exposure to the atmosphere, this whole process we call it as efflorescence. We call it as efflorescence. So what is efflorescence? Efflorescence is a process in which a hydrated substance when exposed to the atmosphere loses its water of crystallization and as a result its crystals changes to the amorphous state. This phenomena we call as efflorescence. Alright. Now let us take another term which is exactly the opposite of efflorescence. We call it as deliquescence. Now what is deliquescence? What is deliquescence? Deliquescence is a phenomena in which certain water soluble salts प्रॉपर्टी क्या होनी चाहिए सॉल्ट की, that it should be water soluble. कोई भी water soluble substance when it is exposed to the atmosphere, when it is exposed to the atmosphere, जब कोई भी water soluble salt को आपने atmosphere से expose कर दिया, यानी हवा में उसको खुला रख दिया, then it dissolves so much amount of water from the atmosphere that it forms, then it absorbs large amount of water and dissolves in it, और डिजोल्व होके क्या करता है, फॉर्मिंग सैचुरेटेड solution, right? So what is the deliquescence or the phenomena of deliquescence is when a water soluble salt is exposed to the atmosphere, it absorbs so much water from the atmosphere that it starts dissolving in it and ultimately forms a saturated solution. ये तब तक वाटर को एब्जॉर्ब करता रहता है जब तक कि वो अपना खुद का ही सैचुरेटेड सॉल्यूशन ना बना ले. द थिंग इज, ये कौन सा सॉल्ट शो करता है, वो सॉल्ट जो वाटर में सॉल्युबल हो. एनी सॉल्ट विच इज वाटर सॉल्युबल is capable of showing the phenomena of deliquescence, and such a salt we call it as deliquescent in nature. So what is the difference between efflorescence and deliquescence? Efflorescence में आपका water of crystallization होता है salt के अंदर. So when the salt is exposed to the atmosphere, this salt loses its water of crystallization and crumbles to form the amorphous state. जबकि deliquescence में क्या होता है, deliquescence में कोई भी water soluble salt जब हम उसको एटमॉस्फेयर से एक्सपोज करते हैं, then it absorbs moisture from the atmosphere and dissolves in it, forming a saturated solution. एक बहुत अच्छा deliquescent salt का एग्जाम्पल है ferric chloride. It is reddish brown in color. This you will be doing in your class 10. Ferric chloride is such an interesting salt. As soon as it is exposed to the air, जैसे ही आप उसको जरा सा भी अगर आप उसको एटमॉस्फेयर से एक्सपोज करेंगे, it will immediately dissolve and it will start flowing like a liquid. So any salt showing the property of deliquescence, we call it as deliquescent in nature. I hope all this is clear. Just go through these topics from your book so that we can continue in the next class.